Warning, this podcast will probably feature spoilers for many, many episodes of Doctor Who. Hello, and welcome to the Back to the TARDIS podcast, the podcast where we discuss each and every episode of the 2005 revival of BBC's Doctor Who. I'm Jeff.
I'm Skylar.
And I'm Avery.
And today, we are discussing Series 1, Episodes 9 and 10, The Empty Child and The Doctor Dances. This is future showrunner and frequent object of my ire, Steven Moffat's first story for Doctor Who, and it also introduces the man, the legend, the icon, Captain Jack Harkness into the Doctor Who universe.
Heck yeah.
Which is why this episode is equal parts scary and really horny, and the two are completely divorced from each other. I like this episode a lot, but man, there is some tonal whiplash.
Yeah. Strangely enough, because it revolves around the character of Jack, most of the times it kind of works, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So do we want to jump right in, since we're gonna be here for a bit?
Yeah, I guess. So
I mean, this episode is also pretty funny, not gonna lie. There's a lot of good humor bits.
Yeah, no,
it's
good. It's definitely good. And the interesting thing, which I mentioned but off mic, which I think will be sort of the theme for this episode, is that this story, shall we say, these two episodes feature a lot of the things that I give Steven Moffat shit for when he does it later in his run, but here they're fine. So anyways, it starts off and there's this, again, it throws you into the really good, funny and entertaining dialogue right away, where, action opening, they're chasing something through the TARDIS vortex, and the Doctor explains that it's mauve and comments that mauve is the color for danger except for humans, stating that by everyone else's standards, red's camp.
All that dancing.
Yeah.
But, that's sort of an early hint at the next episode.
Yeah, no, if these two episodes, it's a way of saying fucking in a kid show.
Oh, Moffat, I love to hate you already.
Again, in this episode, it's good.
Agreed.
They make fun of the fact that season is either set on or orbiting Earth.
Oh, I love that bit of dialogue.
Yeah. It does set us up for because I forgot that it wasn't revealed right away that this is past Earth, that it's just sort of oh, he just went into this fancy bar dance music place, but then it's just oh, the Blitz.
Also, the setup for that punchline is amazing, yeah. But like
Yeah.
before that, do you know how long you can knock around space without happening to bump into Earth? And Rose just goes, 5 days, or is it just when we're out of milk? And then he remarks, out of all the species in all the universe, it had to come out of a cow.
Yeah.
This is obvious non-bovine milk erasure, and I'm not here for
exactly. What about that one species that Luke Skywalker milks in
Oh, God.
Last Jedi that pissed off 5 million fanboys who can't take the fact that their hero is a flawed human being?
I want to say I know the name of that creature, but my Star Wars scribe status is failing me right now. So,
Fun fact,
yes.
humans...
Yeah, I was actually surprised that you hadn't said it yet.
Fun fact, humans can produce milk too.
Also, I love how Rose is like, well, are you gonna scan for alien tech or something? And he's like, Rose, it hit the middle of London with a very loud bang. I'm going to ask.
Yes.
Also, they reference Star Trek here, which is weird considering that there is like an official Doctor Who and Star Trek crossover comic.
We don't need to think about that. Also, the fact that like Rose is like sort of like at least knowledgeable to be considered like a TOS Trekkie, maybe, but like that never comes up again, I think. So
So he and Rose get split up because the Doctor goes and looks for tries to figure stuff out, but Rose is distracted by the fact that she finds a kid in a gas mask up on a nearby roof, and she goes after him. And I love the whole setup of setting up like when this is. Of you don't actually know when it is. Well, I mean, I did because like
We've seen the episode,
I've seen the episode, and even before then, I had read like the little booklet that comes with the DVD box set that says it's in 1940s London. But I love that in case you didn't know it, it sets it up as like the Doctor trying to ask, hey, has anybody like anything like fallen from the sky recently and made a loud bang? And he just gets laughed at.
And it's like, what's going on? And then it's like, oh, it's the Blitz.
Which, although this might be the nerd in me, but it's like it's a funny scene, but like, did he not check before he left when and where he was?
I mean, does he, like, there's plenty of times where he doesn't do that, like...
Yeah, I know. He's very consistent about doing it this season.
Okay,
yeah.
but the punchline...
Safe with that one time that he's just like, oh yeah, you know, exactly the same time, 24 hours later, and he's just like, sorry, 24 hours and 1 year later.
Oop.
Yeah. So Rose uses the rope on a barrage balloon to try and climb to the child, but gets pulled away.
I like how she doesn't look where that's coming from. She's just like, oh, a rope.
Yeah.
Just a random
like
rope
Rose.
hanging here.
I mean...
Who knows what it's attached to? Does it matter? Obviously not.
I mean, this might be a bit of a mean joke, but also, it's Rose.
Yeah. I will say,
She's capable, she's somewhat street smart, she is no Martha, she is no Bill, she is no Donna.
I will say, though, you know, I've sort of been shitting on Rose up until now, but this two-parter is, like, a time when I do like her. I think she's good in this two-parter.
Yes, because she's really horny.
You see,
that's entire story.
That's funny, because I don't like Rose as much in this episode.
Specifically,
no, specifically in one scene. Outside of that, she's, like, good and solid, but it's just, like, every time I remember that she's, like, hardcore coming on to like not just the Doctor but this like 51st century mega Chad, I'm just like, but Mickey though,
and is literally like, it is mentioned that she's like, whatever, fuck Mickey.
She's
except
dating,
not,
but available.
Yes.
Yeah,
very
but
available.
yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah,
I do like how she's at the very least a basic human being, and she's like, I'm not gonna wait around for the Doctor to like see why this
Yeah.
kid's up on this roof. Like that's
Yeah,
good
exactly,
stuff.
yeah.
That's the Rose that I enjoy. The aspect of Rose that I
Yeah,
enjoy.
exactly. Also, so the Doctor leaves, and as he's heading back to the TARDIS or trying to find Rose, the phone on the TARDIS rings, which he says it's not connected, but this is ruined by the, like... God, he does it, like... How many times does it happen in Moffat where the phone on the outside rings? At least, like, 2 or 3 more times. And it's not treated anywhere as, like, holy shit as this is. So it just has, like, no impact anymore.
Yeah. I have to wonder if he, like, actually connected it at some point.
Yeah, 11 probably connected it.
But, yeah, I don't know. It still works for me, because we haven't seen that happen yet.
It seems like an 11 thing to do that he'd connect the phone.
Yeah. So,
Oh wait, the payoff joke with the Union Jack shirt.
yes. Where Rose is wearing a shirt with a Union Jack on it, and she ends up suspended over London during the middle of the London Blitz,
As
wearing
German airplanes
a very
zoom
bright
back.
Union Jack on her.
That's a place where you probably don't want to be wearing the Union Jack.
Yeah.
Very true. Also, like, around the same time, we get introduced to Nancy, which is, like, a side character that I don't remember, like, paying that much attention to, but she's actually, like, a solid addition.
Yeah, no,
And
she's one of the better side characters this season, and I think part of that is because it's a two-parter. But yes, no, but first you're introduced to Jack, who, in true Jack fashion, his first moment on screen is staring at Rose's ass.
Nice.
yes, I forgot that he did that, and I was just like, yeah, you know, valid, true. Go on.
And yeah, the establishing character moment is him staring at Rose's ass and commenting on it, and the guy with him being like, "Whoa, dude," and then Jack being like, "All right, I'm leaving. By the way, you've got a nice ass too." Oh boy,
All that dancing.
yeah. So Nancy, you're introduced to Nancy, who has a whole bunch of orphaned kids, and during air raid she sneaks into people's houses and they all steal their food. Which, okay, I'll get to the Doctor's comment later because he hasn't met them yet, but I do really like that line.
Yes. Yes.
And Jack gets into his ship and captures her, or saves her at least. And man, this scene with the two of them, like, it might, like, I think it's well written, but as someone who's, like, really introverted and has social anxiety, it is, like, painfully awkward for me. It's like,
See, I think I remember this scene did used to do that to me, but I've gotten more extroverted now, and now I was just like, I enjoyed it. I didn't have that anymore. I was just like, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the thing with the cell phone. I was just like, of course. Of course.
Yeah. And then, it cuts back to Nancy and the kids, and the Doctor just kind of appears in there, and everyone freaks out, and the Doctor's just, being his genial, good-with-kids self. And there's the great line of, so he's like, as soon as, the sirens go off, you find a family meal and have everyone eat it. And she's like, something wrong with that? And he's like, no, it's brilliant. I'm not sure if it's Marxism in action or a West End musical.
I love that.
Yeah.
This whole scene is a very good balance to me of what the entire two-parter does, which is, like, there's comedic moments, there's, like, the more like horror serious moments with the child, and also like smaller stuff with the thing like the doctor saying that most of them should have been evacuated by now, and one of them saying like, yeah, I was, taken to a farm. There was a man there, and I was just like, holy shit, Doctor Who. Whoa.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was like, whoa. Honestly, yeah, the other thing in this two-parter is like, I can't believe they got away with this in 2005, because like even Steven Moffat's later stuff is way less
horny.
Yeah. I mean, even 11, and 11 gets a little crazy at times, but, like, 11 and especially 12 is, like, way less than this, and it's, like, completely gone from 13's run, except for, like, that one weird scene with her and the Master in Spyfall.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
I like that scene.
It was like, wow, okay.
Oh, and then he has another horny line. Great things, and I want to find a blonde and a Union Jack. I mean a specific one. I didn't just wake up this morning with a craving.
Yeah, no, and the other thing to mention about this episode is that it's really like the first to like hardcore throw a sledgehammer through like the classic Who trend of the Doctor being like as asexual, aromantic as possible.
Yeah.
Like, well, with the exception of 8, but that's expanded universe, so that wasn't under the same people. And the child shows up again, and of course the thing is that the child is always asking for his mother, and doesn't listen to what anyone says. That's just the only question that he asks on a loop. So I have a story to tell about this episode. We're at the cliffhanger about the first time that I watched it. Should I wait for the cliffhanger so I don't like kill the pacing?
I'd say cliffhanger is a good place to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But yeah. Also, going back to like your comment about like the Doctor being shown to like not be ace, or at least like this incarnation not being ace, it's weird how like proportionally more horny 11 is, given that like in most situations
exactly.
he comes off as more not into that stuff, which you might say is where the comedy
he's
is,
like
but
unintentionally, he's like unintentionally horny, which is really uncomfortable.
Exactly. But yeah. Oh, one thing I did want to talk about, jumping back to like, so like, yeah, the child shows up and the Doctor learns about like the Omcom stuff and a little bit more about, the thing that crashed. He doesn't know it's a Chula warship, but then like going back to the Jack and Rose stuff, I don't know if it's just like the writer in me that's just like, why is Jack so like seemingly dumb about catching on that Rose obviously doesn't know what he's talking about? Like, maybe he doesn't care, and that he's just like, oh, I can just still con these people anyway, but it just seemed like he's either too horny to care, which, Jack, that's possible, or he just doesn't care regardless. But it just seemed like a weird thing when he's like, when he finds out they're not time agent, quote unquote, finds out that he seems to be somewhat upset, and I'm just like, this seems to be an idiot ball moment, but I can let it go because John Barrowman is so everything.
Yeah.
So
all of it, yes.
Yeah, no, I will say, like, having been more used to, like, post-Torchwood Jack, like, it's weird going back to this, because, like, even from, like, the moment that Torchwood starts, Jack is far, like, he's still, like, yeah, I'm the pansexual god, but he's, like, a lot mellower, he's a lot darker, and he has the ability to kind of drop that facade and make some genuinely, like, cold or very morally gray decisions. So yeah, it's really weird. So yeah.
Oh, the psychic paper scene with Jack and Rose's.
Oh yeah. No, this is the scene where yeah. Is Rose starts as like, you just handed me a piece of paper telling me you're single and you work out, and then she hands it back and he's like, oh, you sort of have a boyfriend called Mickey Smith, but you consider yourself to be footloose and fancy free. She's like, what? And he's like, actually the word you use is available. And I'm just like,
don't
and another one.
Okay.
Very.
Yeah. It's like, Rose. Man, Mickey deserves better, which is why he eventually gets better, which is good, but he deserves better.
I mean, yeah, he gets someone who appreciates him for him, but then also the writers were like, we'll just ship the two black characters, right? That works.
Just that it's the two black characters, is that it's Smith and Jones, and Russell T Davies gets a hard-on for that kind of shit.
Oh, no. I never even thought about that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that was his actual reasoning for that.
Wow. But yeah, aside from the weird continuing horniness that mostly works, we get introduced to like what nanogenes are. I believe, yeah, it's this scene because her rope hands are fixed, and then we get more talk about. Actually, no, this is the first time they talk about what a time agent is. Something I kind of miss in like modern Doctor Who. We really haven't had anybody like, I think the guy, I think the evil racist from like the 71st century in Rosa stole a manipulator from a time agent, but aside from that, it's you know.
The time agents like they aren't even mentioned that much in like RTD's era. Like I think River Song might have been one for a bit, but
it's okay. This universe is too big to do any type of world building. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Hold on. There's another time agent in Torchwood who is played by the same guy who played Spike in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and there is a very memorable scene which really just sums up Torchwood in general, where they have like they kick the shit out of each other in a bar fight and then start making out.
Goals.
Yeah, that's basically Torchwood. They're right there.
And then we go back to Nancy and the Doctor. This episode is really good at balancing multiple parts. It's usually what I praise the best Star Wars movies for doing, since they always go in like different areas that like eventually probably meet up. But yeah, the two-parter, or like the first part specifically, does this really well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I do love the line where she's like, how'd you follow me here? And he's like, I'm good at following. I got the nose for it. And Nancy's like, people can't usually follow me if I don't want them to. And he's like, my nose has special powers. And she's like, yeah, is that why it's so... He's like, what?
And she goes,
she's like, do your ears have special powers too?
Yeah, it's a great interaction.
Yeah, and then like Jack goes like really extra and is just like, yeah, I'm gonna take this girl up to the top of my ship that's parked right next to Big Ben and play Glenn Miller and pour her champagne and dance with her. And I'm like, chill, bro.
Honestly though, if you could take anyone for a date like that.
And Rose isn't even like the best part is Rose isn't even paying attention to him. Like, he's trying to explain these deals very seriously, and she's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And he's like, what?
Is it a canon thing or like a fan canon thing that 51st century humans just have tons of pheromones that make non 51st century humans want to fuck them all the time?
It's not pheromones. I think it's just like pure BDE.
Okay, that might have been something I read in like fan fiction, but it would make sense how like Jack's like weirded out at first by how like not serious he's taking him, because he's probably assuming she's from around the same time as he is.
Yeah.
But that's like reading way too much into it. But yeah, I enjoy it.
I do like I feel like some people like would find it kind of extra, but I do like all of the scenes that the Doctor and Rose have with Nancy, who's like convinced that, you know, it's the end of the world and they're gonna lose the war. Wait, holy shit, Chibnall fucking stole that for Spyfall, the bitch. Sorry, back to the episode. There's my obligatory dunking on Chris Chibnall for the episode.
That needs to be our second drinking game. It's when you mention 7 or Chibnall.
Yeah. No, it's 7 or 8 or Chibnall.
Okay.
Because I've mentioned 8 more than I've mentioned 7 now. But...
Okay. Well, if you ever mention 3 in one go, I might just have to like buy an entire wine bottle.
I mean, technically we did in this episode.
Damn it.
Just now.
Okay.
Oops.
Well, let's go.
Rip Sky.
Pixar didn't happen.
Rip Sky's liver.
So he enters this hospital that's been locked off and is being guarded, and sneaks in. And there's just this one lone doctor left, and inside this hospital, every single person has this very still patient in it, and they're all wearing gas masks. And there's this great exposition dump of sort of explaining how fast this has spread, and how they all have the exact same injuries. And then he's like, they all have this scar, and then it cuts to his hand, and he has the scar on his hand, so there's like this oh shit.
Yeah.
And then I love the, can you figure out what the cause of death was? And then he goes through it, and he's like, nope, there wasn't a cause of death. They're not dead. And then, you know, they all get up. That was a very good moment.
This episode manages to be, like, terrifying without, you know, crossing any lines, in my opinion, which to me is always a sign of good writing. And I think
it doesn't rely
the
on
Doctor
jump scares either.
The Doctor directly references or like kind of makes a joke about the "Are you my mummy" thing like twice since then, but like when you go back to the original source, you realize how much of a meme it isn't, because it's like presented so well, and it's not just the gas mask, but still, everything about them.
Yeah, no, it's still creepy. This is still one of like Steven Moffat's like best monster inventions, aside from the Weeping Angels in their first episode and not anymore after that. And the Listen was a good episode, because technically The Fear is Nothing at all.
I do love Listen. That is that's like my favorite, you know, scary Doctor Who episode in my opinion.
Yeah. And then, oh my god, I forgot how graphic, like really, really graphic, that the CG like transformation into like the gas mask is, and they don't cut away. They just let that happen.
Yeah,
that's next episode,
it's obviously,
though, isn't it?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I was saying that's next episode, though.
No, it's not. It's in this one.
Yeah, you see the Doctor.
Yeah, Dr. Constantine.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really like, it is, it's disturbing, and it's like probably the most disturbing effect that has happened on the new series at all, aside from straight up turns into a fucking ood.
Yeah, I do think in this instance the like dated CGI kind of helps the effect. Just like the awkward like kind of like gagging and like basically vomiting up the like point or like the mouthpiece of the gas mask, and then like I was just thinking like if this had happened in like if the first time we saw this type of thing was in a 13th Doctor episode, I probably would have been like, holy crap, that's really gross, but it wouldn't have like viscerally touched me.
Yeah. So yeah, then you start to get into the climax of the episode.
Oh yeah,
and the child's stalking Nancy, and she's just hiding under a table, and Jack and Rose enter the ward, and Jack's like, well, look, bro, I didn't do this, I swear.
Of course, Jack finds the Doctor through a scan of alien tech.
Yeah. And they, like, there's this great thing where, like, all the patients suddenly sit up and start, like, yelling, and they close in on the Doctor, just repeating the words "mummy" over and over again, and then suddenly cut to cliffhanger. So before we start the next episode, I have a story about the first time I watched this episode. So like there were like levels of like when I first watched series 1, there were like levels of like some episodes spooked me more than others, but this one was the first one to like really viscerally spook me to like the point that I couldn't sleep. So like I watched it and then I went to bed. And, like, I couldn't sleep, and then it was, like, a couple hours later, and I guess Mom... This is, like, so fucking... This is one of the worst fucking things that my mom has done, which is, like, I was at, like, it was, like, 10 p.m., and I was still awake and kind of, like, tossing and turning in bed, and my mom fucking comes into my room and goes, "Are you my mummy?" And I'm like, "Mom, no!" I was like, "Please, God, stop."
She's a real one.
Yeah. And I mentioned it the other day, and we all just kind of laughed about it.
That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah. So, this is possibly my favorite cliffhanger resolution in all of modern Doctor Who, where it plays to that and the Doctor just gets out of this by yelling "go to your room" at them, and they all just kind of sheepishly walk off, and he's like, "I'm really glad that worked. Those would have been terrible last words."
It's a very fitting moment for this two-parter.
Yeah.
You can quickly see Jack's reaction to it, and he's just like, it's like a thing of relief, and then also just like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's like, wow.
I do like right from the beginning, you see that like, even though Jack was revealed to like straight up be a comm man in the last episode, he's not, when the cards are down, he's still willing to find out what's happening. And I think that's like, that like Jack even here is like the perfect mixture of just like, oh, fooling around, you know, horniness, charm, but like when like shit is going down, he's like super like good at getting stuff done, not at figuring out why his own thing went badly, but he's like willing to sit down and do the work, which I'm assuming in like Torchwood, that's also a thing that he's like.
No, he gets wiser in Torchwood, but that's also after he's been trapped on Earth for over 100 years.
Valid.
Oh my god, the best part about Torchwood is you realize that there are points that Torchwood confirms that there are points where when they go back, I'm not going to get into why because that's spoilers, but in the next episode when they go to Cardiff and find Margaret Blaine, during that moment there are 3 Jacks in Cardiff. Bruh. At different points in his timeline. So yeah, they explore the hospital, and they they explore the hospital, and they go and find the room where the empty child was taken.
Wait, do you want to talk about Jacqueline first? Because he basically talks about his plan at the beginning.
Oh yeah, so Jack reveals that his plan of selling stuff to the time agents was actually a con, just finding space junk and letting someone track it. Then getting a payment 50% up front, and then letting a bomb fall on it, which, of course, would be a natural thing that happened as a part of time and not something caused by him. And that way he'd never know that it's just an empty, or suppose what he thinks is empty ambulance. So yeah, they get into this room by using Jack's Sonic Blaster, which has a digital pattern, which is just a perfect square.
You know, and for when you looked at guns and thought, more square.
Yeah. And then, this is the first mention of Villain Guard, which... Okay, there are things I like about Twice Upon a Time. Moffat going on an extreme, continuity dick-sucking fest is not one of them.
When is Villain Guard mentioned in Twice Upon a Time?
They go to it. That's where they meet Rusty the Dalek.
Oh. Okay, I need to rewatch. Well, we will rewatch that, but okay.
Yeah, they just go there. The only reason it's there is because, haha, I mentioned this in my first episode.
Amazing.
Yes. I'm just imagining a Moffat image with the yes Chad meme. Yes.
Yeah.
That's my response to that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's there. Whenever we get to Twice Upon a Time, there are things that I like a lot about Twice Upon a Time, and there are things that frustrate me immensely about Twice Upon a Time. Also, Nancy has... I don't know how to feel about this. Nancy gets caught by the homeowners and gets put in a room with the guy, and she basically blackmails him into letting her out and giving her tools by implying that he's having sexual relations with the butcher, which I don't know. Because, on the one hand, obviously it was a taboo in the 40s, but on the other hand... And obviously this is a character from the 40s, but on the other hand, that's kind of blackmail. That's really skeezy, but yeah, he is a hypocrite, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the whole switcheroo thing that kind of works for the rest of this episode. It's just Rose figuring out that Jack is also into men, but here it's
yeah, no, this episode
in a good way.
You guys know the fucking the Eric Andre bit where it's what if it was purple? This episode is just what if it were gay?
What if aliens
That really is
gay?
Perfect.
Time travel, but it's gay.
Yeah. There's this great, this is probably, I think this might be my favorite single Moffat spook, where they're having a conversation and they've turned this tape on and it's just asking repeatedly in the background, and then you hear it say, I'm here, can't you see me? And you hear this clicking, and he's like, Rose is like, what's that noise? And the doctor's like, ended the tape. It ran out about 30 seconds ago. I sent it to its room. This is its room.
Yeah. The buildup of some tension and like scary moments in both of these episodes is like some of the most perfect I've seen in New Who.
Yeah. Yeah. Really only rivaled by like Moffat's other RTD era episodes and Maybe Listen. Also, little sight gag of the Doctor switching Jack's squareness gun with a banana. And then Jack shows that it can rewind the hole in the wall, which just, as a weapon, I'm just like, what purpose does that serve?
That specific purpose, exactly.
It's like, is this like a method for assassination? Like you blow their face off and then use the rewind so it looks like nothing happened? I don't...
Well, you mentioned the banana gag, but you left out that Jack pointed the banana at the child, so that was his intention. He was going to use it on the kid, and the Doctor knew that and gave him the switcheroo.
Man, I don't know if anyone other Skylar is going to get that, but that has some real weight coming on in a post-Children of Earth world.
I never saw Children of Earth, so that's just you, buddy. I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, I was just wondering if you'd seen like Council of Geeks' video on it.
No. I need to though.
Okay.
They're awesome.
No.
I love them.
Okay. Don't watch it, because it will spoil it, and I think we are planning to eventually cover Torchwood on the podcast.
Oh yeah, they do spoil. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Also there's the first joke of, ha ha, there are other Sonic things. Which, like, you know, I'm on the fence about it, because I think, like, for example, like, the whole haha laser screwdriver thing that the Master pulls out in series 3 is fucking stupid. It's like, we didn't need more of this. And then in fucking the Sarah Jane Adventures spin-off, she has fucking Sonic lipstick, and it's just like, RTD, stop it.
That is one of the things that, like, I do give Moffat some credit for doing, for like realizing, like, poking fun of it, because like in the 50th special that happens, and then like he gets rid of them, and then Sonic's shades aren't much better, but you could at least see the visual component of why they would be. But yeah,
they look better.
I like this gag again. Just I guess this is the Moffat stan in me. I like it.
What, the gag of the Sonic gag? No, I like the gag. It's just it got a little overplayed.
No,
where it's like, and it's also the start of like everything is Sonic, which it's like, come on.
What's the issue with that? I see no issues with this. I like it when everything is Sonic.
Well, it gets a little bit overkill as RTD goes on, but whatever.
It's just one of those things where it's like, depending on who the writer is, it can do this or that, or it can't do this or that. And it's just one of those things where it's like, in a good story, it's like a good multi-tool that sometimes gives you exposition. Or Jack makes a joke about you putting up cabinets. So really, you know, you win either way.
Yeah, exactly. So... Jack tries to blow open the door, and then it doesn't work, and he's like, the special features, they really drain the battery, which I find it funny that if it's battery operated, he doesn't have spares with him. That's the equivalent of, like, going into a dangerous situation with, like, a handgun that only has, like, a 10 bullet magazine in it and nothing else.
I do like how Rose's response to that is, "That's so lame."
Yeah.
She was impressed
And
with him
then
at first.
Jack,
now, not
Jack
so
just
much.
Jack just kinds of yeets out of there. Which, of course, you learn later. Like, the weird thing is I remember this scene being they're actually genuinely trapped, and I forget it's not just Jack just leaves and you know that he's just getting the thing set up so he can teleport him out.
Also, the bit after he leaves, when they start setting up the motif for the episode with the dancing.
Yes.
So
Hey guys, did you realize that dancing means sex yet? Hey guys.
But I just want to comment on the line that leads up to that. She's like, "Hey, he saved my life. Bloke-wise, that's up there with flossing. I trust him because he's like you, except with dating and dancing." Obviously the back half of that line is the important part, but because I am a ruined Zoomer, when she said, bloke-wise, that's up there with flossing, my immediate thought was, was the dance. Like, dead serious. I was like, wait, what? And then I was like, oh no, wait, the other thing.
God, have you seen the gif of Sonic the Hedgehog flossing? It is wretched.
Have you seen the videos of me flossing? Yes, you have.
Yes, I have,
Yes,
because
I
I
have.
literally I've recorded one.
I know you did.
You see, this is how much of like a faux millennial I am. I didn't even think of the dance. I was just like, oh yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, boomer.
Okay, boomer.
These Zoomers with the dances and the Fortnites.
Haha, you're 21, rub it in. Anyways. So, there's the line where Rose is like, okay, he's vanished into thin air, why is it always the great-looking ones who do that? And the doctor's like, I'm making an effort not to be insulted. And she's like, I mean men. And he's like, okay, thanks, that really helped.
Yeah, and then we actually get the explanation about like what omcom is and how that's what the child's been doing.
Yeah. Also, Rose tries to goad him into dancing, and he's like, Rose, I'm trying to resonate concrete.
Wait, I'm
Which, like...
I'm confused about something
God.
in particular. Like, if the child was talking through omcom, how did he make the typewriter go?
Because it's a spooky.
Okay.
That's basic. Because it works. Whatever. It just works.
You've never seen the speakers inside of a typewriter? Weirdo.
Apparently not.
Also... But no, I feel like the line of, like, Rose, I'm trying to resonate concrete would be like... I'm enough of, like, an introverted dumbass that I feel like I would say something like that IRL when someone was coming on to me. Also, the funniest thing is the doctor's like, he's not really a Captain Rose. And she's like, I think you're experiencing Captain Envy. And he's like, if he ever was a captain, he's been defrocked. That's really funny. Because Torchwood basically confirms that he stole the name Captain Jack Harkness from someone he meets in 1941 who dies.
Yep.
And
who also turns out to be gay, but...
Yes, Jack makes out with him.
Amazing.
But I'm just gonna say this now so everyone really knows full well what we're getting into. Everyone is bi. Everyone.
Epic.
Based.
So Nancy tries to break into the hospital and gets captured and locked in a room with someone who's about to transform. Also, so they come out of the hospital and Jack's like, hey, they got Algie on duty, it must be important. And Rose is like, shall I distract him? And Jack's like, no, trust me, I got it, you're not Algie's type. And just fucking like strides off.
And then he's like, relax, He's just a bit more flexible when it comes to dancing. That one scene when I was younger and was like dumb and didn't understand that like metaphor, once he started explaining it that way, I was just like, oh, sex.
Okay, I'ma be real. I didn't get that until y'all pointed it out to me. I understood it was like intimacy, but just I guess I'm horny about everything but TV.
Yeah, no, and also the doctor's just like, yeah, you guys just kind of fuck whatever species you come across.
And I like that because she compared him to Spock earlier, but that's definitely a Kirk thing.
Yeah. Or a Riker thing if you do Next Generation.
I do like how...
I'd just like to take this moment to once again mention that Riker was literally like, I want, like, this character who's supposed to be of, like, a race that doesn't have a gender. This guy should have been casted by a dude. What a legend.
Yeah.
Because they censored it by making it be a woman. So, what a legend. Also, Jack comes up and starts hitting on him. And the weirdest... The internet has corrupted me because it's supposed to be like a creepy, like, oh shit, like he's already transforming, but of course Jack comes up and starts hitting on him, and LG's like, mummy, and my first thought is like, wow, that's kinky.
What I was gonna think about was that, like, I know it probably doesn't happen around the same time, but the idea that there's been multiple great and bountiful human empires and the new Roman Empire and stuff like that, it's just like, well, they definitely took the cultural part of, like, screwing everyone with them. Like, that's some neo-Hellenistic bullshit right there. But yeah, no, it's great, Algae, and then everything starts to go like, oh crap, how are we gonna fix this? And then everything gets awesome.
Yeah, no. Yeah. And so you find out that Nancy has survived from not getting gas masked by singing a lullaby to the guy who just did get gas mask. And the doctor frees her, and they go to the spacecraft and find it. And Jack's like, it's just an ambulance. And they try to get into it, and it sets off an emergency protocol and summons all the gas masked people. So there's kind of a race against time here. So they go, like, Rose and Nancy go to reattach barbed wire, and the doctor and Jack stay, or Jack goes to secure the gates, and the doctor stays with the ambulance. And there's this great scene with Nancy and Rose where Rose kind of explains that this isn't the end, and you're gonna beat the fascists. And they get the ambulance open, and the doctor reveals that he's figured it out, and that it was nanogenes who weren't used to human beings coming. Then the first thing they came across was this dead child, and they assumed that was just the template. And they brought him back and figured out that, like, okay, so everyone else who isn't that is clearly needs to be fixed, and they make everything like that. And it's gone airborne, so they're trying to quickly fix this, and of course it's saved by the doctor realizing that Nancy is not the child's sister, but his mother, and she acknowledges that and goes to him and hugs him, and the nanogenes go, hang on a second, similar DNA, and realize that they fucked it up, and then fix everything, and the doctor has his great everybody lives moment.
It's a good moment.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I find it, like, this is something that, like, we start to give Moffat shit for as it goes on. So, like, first off, none of Moffat, like, all of Moffat's companions get in their final episode get put in a situation where they technically die but are brought back. And just in general, like, they tend to have happier fairy tale endings. And I remember reading a contemporaneous review that gave this episode shit for that, of like, oh, the happy ending undermines all the horror. But I think for this episode and for this season, it's very specific because it's part of Nine's character arc of it's the first time everybody lives. He can actually save everyone, which for Nine, who's very much a hurting veteran, that means a lot. That's a big thing.
Yeah, also it isn't revolving around, like, established characters and, like, super high stakes. Like, it's one thing for it to happen here, but, like, let's say, for example, with the Cyberman,
yeah,
that's a little bit more of, like, especially once you've done it 5 times. So I do agree. It's a great moment, and for me, the impact isn't lessened, even though I know what he'll go on to do. Because it fits here.
Really the only problem I have is with Clara and Amy. Well, not necessarily. Well, okay, I have issues with Amy and Rory, but that's not related to them living. But no, like, obviously I have issues with Clara's. Everyone has issues with Clara. I even like Hellbent, and I think she should have gone back to die in the episode. I imagine people probably have shit to say about Bill, but I don't care. Fuck all y'all. She deserved better, and she deserved more than a season.
I mean, I think I already made clear that I did not like Bill.
Okay.
I liked...
when we rewatch Series 10, because I just... It was really good. I'm just gonna say that. And I think aside... If you can, put aside the slight thing of Moffat being like, holy shit, guys, she's gay. If you can, like, kind of put that aside from a second, like, all of her other character traits are really good.
What character traits are there besides that one?
She's inquisitive about things that other companions kind of take for basics. She doesn't do most of the same old companion shit over again. She's lower class. How do I yeah, she's just a lot more, like, inquisitive and explorative. And I really like the relationship she has with 12. That's kind of a teacher-student thing, but whatever.
That's just
all I'll say is that I am not generally, like, because it's kind of an example of fridging in basically every way except he cheats out of it. But my whole thing is, like, I don't want you to do that, but if you're going to do that, like, actually commit, please.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, okay. I agree. I guess I agree in parts, but I just think that World Nothing Time and Dr. Falls pulls it off well enough that I don't feel like giving it anywhere near the shit that I would give Hellbent, even though I like Hellbent.
Yeah, I mean, we're going off into a huge thing, but bringing it back, it all works because they've done a really good job of establishing the nanogenes and making them a part of the thing. If we hadn't heard of them and then the doctor was just like, oh, they weren't entity, they're full of something called nanogenes, and, like, all of that, it's like, it's a good example.
Or the doctor points his sonic screwdriver at the thing and just magically fixes it. Yeah,
exactly. It's a good example of using, like, the two-parters to your strength, giving extra characterization, giving extra world building, balancing all of it to the point. And again, like, with characters that aren't, like, super established, and you're even introducing a new one that will become established, and it's it doesn't have the same baggage as being like a finale and also doing that.
Yeah, and it works because, and Everybody Living works because in all the previous episodes, going through each episode in order, side characters get shot and murdered in front of their family, burned alive by the rays of the sun, choked by gas creatures controlling corpses,
blown up,
mauled to death by people in skin suits, shot with Dalek extermination rays, and murdered by the Jaggerfest and vored by the Reapers. So yeah, the fact that in this episode, like, it's this whole thing of, like, you know, everybody lives, even when this could have been, like, you know, this is, like, one of the most brutal fucking ways to die in the whole season, that has impact. A very good impact, I think. So to save everyone, Jack takes the bomb that's going to fall on the ambulance and puts it in the tractor beam for his ship and comes and stores it on its ship. But it's still going to explode, unfortunately. So he's just kind of resigned to his own fate in his ship. He gets a martini. He has the line of, like, last time I was sentenced to death, I ordered 4 hyper vodkas for my breakfast. Then I woke up in bed with both of my executioners. Lovely couple. They stayed in touch.
Can't say that about most executioners.
Yeah.
And then there's the great, you know, dancing thing with the Doctor and Rose, and Jack kind of becoming like, hey, what if Adam was actually interesting and hot and horny and wasn't a dumbass who was selfish?
Yeah, no, that's the other thing of, like, a companion who seems like he'd work but doesn't, and then, or I think the intention was supposed to be, like, seems like he might work but doesn't, and then companion who seems like he won't work but does, except we all know that Adam very clearly wasn't going to work from the get-go.
Yeah. Oh, there's an interesting part, like, before we get to the very ending and, like, giving all of our ratings out, that before they go and, like, rescue Jack, that the Doctor and Rose are in the TARDIS, and she says, look at you beaming away like Father Christmas, and then he says, who says I'm not? Red bicycle when you were 12. I actually I looked this up, and apparently reading from the TARDIS, like, official Doctor Who wiki, that the story following this one was supposed to have Jack discover that the Doctor had been manipulating Rose's life to create the perfect companion, explaining the circumstances behind the Doctor's comment of her receiving a red bicycle at Christmas. The story was ultimately scrapped, and I'm glad they didn't do that, because that would, like, give me a whole different impression of
that would
9.
be like this. Yeah, like, that's basically grooming.
Yeah, if it had, I don't know, you'd have to be very careful of, and the only reason I'd like 9 after that is if you realize, like, holy crap, I fucked up, and then, like, became a better person. But given that he was only around for one series, that probably would have been rushed to hell, and I'm glad that they just ended up dropping that.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. Oh, also, there's a great line when everyone's healed, and they're healed back to, like, you know, full, like, healthy human beings. And this old woman comes up to Dr. Constantine. You're looking, and she's like, my leg's grown back. He's like, there's a war on. Is it possible you miscounted?
I love that moment.
Yeah. But yeah. So the Doctor and Rose land the TARDIS on Jack's ship and rescue him from its explosion. And the Rose is teaching the Doctor how to dance. And then she has a conversation with Jack. And then he remembers that he can dance, and it changes to In the Mood with the Glenn Miller Band. And there's the great line where Rose is like, actually, Doctor, I thought Jack might like this dance. And the Doctor's like, I'm sure he would, but who with? And the answer is probably both. Have you guys seen that one video of, like, what your favorite Doctor Who ship says about you?
My favorite Doctor Who ship is the TARDIS.
Is what?
Yes.
I didn't hear it. What is it?
The TARDIS.
It's just the TARDIS, that's the joke.
Oh, I didn't. It cut off.
Get
for
it?
me, so I didn't hear that. Yeah. No. Good one.
Yeah, no, there's like an ongoing joke throughout the video where, it's like X ship is like, you want a daddy, but not the sexual kind, and then it moves on to such, and then it's just Nine and Jack is like, you want a daddy, and yes, this time it is the sexual kind. I'm gonna link that in the group chat and put it in the show notes, because it is a really funny video.
Amazing. You're gonna hate me for this, Jeff, but unironically, I do think my favorite Doctor Who ship is Clara 12. That is not a joke.
I mean, no, it's not in the sense of how it's carried out in the show. Then yes, I agree. That's like my favorite like canon ship. I don't know what my favorite like non-canon ship is though.
Master Missy.
Oh,
also kind of canon,
Fuck
which
off.
is messed up.
Yeah. Master River
No, it's
Song.
it's one-sided. Missy wants absolutely nothing to do with that.
Okay, but Missy River Song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I might, when this episode is done, I might like play that video in a Go Live session because it's really funny. Anyways, so okay, have you guys seen like this most recent meme going around on Twitter where it's like sped up gifs of like people dancing with this weird music track and it's just a caption that reads penis music?
No.
That's what I thought of when I saw this scene. No comment on that one, Avery? Fair enough. So yeah, that's Jack officially joins the TARDIS crew, and that's the end of this episode. So we're actually drawing close to the end of Series 1. We only have 2 more episodes to go. And then we bid adieu to the lovely Christopher Eccleston. But next week we are covering the episode Boomtown, which is the first... No, not the first... Is it? Wait. Is Unquiet Dead set in Cardiff?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not the first visit to Cardiff. It's the first visit to modern Cardiff, specifically, which would later become the where Torchwood is set. The surviving Slitheen from their last encounter, Margaret Blaine, and yeah, I don't remember much about that episode. I do remember some good interactions between Nine and Margaret Blaine, but I can't remember much else, so I'm interested to see how this one plays out. Oh shit! I'm a complete idiot. I forgot ratings.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, are we gonna go do ratings? Or?
Yeah.
No, it is beyond reproach.
So who wants to go to ratings?
I can do it. So yeah, I really enjoy both of these episodes. If I had to be like really hypercritical, I'd probably enjoy the second half more. Although the majority of the like great like humorous dialogue to me at least is in part
that's
one.
mainly because of this. Yeah, that's mainly because of the structure of the episode. The first half is basically just setup.
Exactly. So like stuff with like the milk with the cow gives, humanizing elements, and cow reminds me of The Last Jedi, which reminds me of the Thala sirens that Luke milks. I knew I had that word in there. But I digress. Really great stuff all around. John Barrowman is excellent. Nancy is excellent. The kids, for like how short they're around, are a good addition. The atmosphere is creepy as hell and horny as hell, and neither of those two like binaries that they kind of like go between those extremes, really like take away from the other. So overall, I might be over generous, but I'd give the Dr. Dance's, or the Empty Child Dr. Dance's mini story arc, a 9 out of 10.
All right. Yeah, I think the weirdest thing is, like, I really like this episode. I think it's probably, like, other than, like, Blink and, like, Listen and maybe the library episode, it's probably and Heaven Sent. It's probably Steven Moffat's, like, best episode or story. So, like, it's up there, definitely. But, like, I like it. I think it's really good, but I don't know if I can give it a 10, because I think it's just because of how, like, Dalek is just, like, 45 minutes of like absolute perfection, whereas, like, obviously it's a little bit not as well paced because it's a two-parter. It's a little bit longer, it's a little bit slower. I don't know if I can get I think I'm gonna have to add, like, an additional addendum to my rating scale where there's, like, a 10 and then there's a Dalek level 10, which is, like, the S+ tier. Because I genuinely feel like I can't think of, like, any flaws with this episode, and I think everything it does well, it does really well. But it's still not quite as... It's not, like, on the same level as Dalek, so I think I'm going to establish, like, a new tier to my ratings, which I know there are definitely a couple other episodes that I would rate as Dalek tier. But yeah, I'll give this story arc on the whole a 10 out of 10, because I think it's I can't think of anything that would, like, cause me to impact my rating scale in any way. It's just fantastic Doctor Who.
See, this is what happens when you make your rating scale tilted too heavily towards the top. Just throwing some shade here.
Well, it's not even, like... There are episodes where I'd be like, it's a fine, good episode. I can't think of too much wrong about it. That's like Rose. That's like End of the World. I genuinely think this episode or this story is basically perfect. It's just not quite as perfect.
Can I suggest that, to me, the only real drawback about Dalek is the side character of Adam. And with these episodes, none of the side characters are a detractor for me. Which I know I just rated it lower than I did Dalek, but that's because of, like, the emotional highs and, like, kind of like the meta
exactly.
around
the
Dalek.
The emotional highs and the tight pacing. It's like Adam may be a bad side character, but, like, he's barely in the episode, so, like.
Anyways, if I had to rate these, I'd probably say the first episode is a 9. I think it's a very, very good episode. But a lot of it, not to the same extent as Slitheen, obviously, because, like, these are both very good episodes. A 9 is very, very good, but it just doesn't, it's not making the thematic through lines yet. But Dr. Dance's, I think, on it, like, that episode specifically is a 10 on its own. And I would say the story as a whole, sort of balances out to a 9.5. I would just say my major complaint with it is that Dr. Dance's, a lot of the resolutions it comes to in terms of its motifs and theming is set up just within that episode, and I feel like there could have been more, more cohesion along the two episodes in terms of thematic stuff that gets, sort of played out in Dr. Dance's with the dancing motif and, all that stuff and his characterization.
Yeah.
And I think, but besides that, like, it's just they're both fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
The Doctor is just spectacular. Rose is, for once, not annoying. Jack is just Jack. And,
Jack is an icon.
The side characters are hitting it home. The villain of the week, villain in quotation marks, is, interesting, very interesting, has a good resolution. and just
it's actually scary.
Those final moments are just so good. So yeah, I would say, definitely overall 9.5, and then 9 and 10 individually.
Yeah. So yeah, we will be back next week with our episode covering the endgame for Series 1. So we'll see you all then.